Uh-oh, we are live. Welcome to Ashmont Live on a mini series workshops that help realtors get better in their industry. So welcome Adam Ashbua, instructor at Hondros College and president of Ashmont Realty. And we have a very special guest today, my longtime good friend, Chris McDaniel of NFM Lending. That's hard to say, Chris. NFM Lending.
Hey, Adam, how are you, man?
Yeah, thank you for coming. We're going to talk about goal setting. And, that's something that you need to learn as an agent. And we're going to talk about reverse engineering the goals, and Chris is going to really dive into it. It's going to be really good. So as everyone starts filing in, I'm going to have a hard time talking tonight. But as they start coming in, we're going to jump into it. We're going to cover how to do goals properly with Chris McDaniel right after this. Well, thanks for coming, Chris, for this.
Yeah.
This is virtual, so we're not going to be doing in class tonight, but thanks for coming on, and we're going to talk about setting goals. And what do they say? If you don't have a goal and a plan, it's just a dream or something like that. So, but we're excited to have you here. So this is we're doing a lot of workshop, guys, over the course of this year. So if it's something, if you're getting a lot of good content, we put a lot of time and effort in setting up these workshops. Make sure you like and subscribe, and that way it'll alert you for the next one. We have a lot of great topics that I know that'll help realtors out there just get better. And even if you take one or two things away tonight, it's worth it. It's absolutely worth it. So if you want to see future workshops, make sure you like and subscribe on all of our platforms. And if you have questions, this is nice. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. I'm going to be trolling Facebook and YouTube, looking for any questions that someone might have for Chris or myself, and we'll answer those live on the workshop tonight. So, but yeah, again, if you have any questions, if you're on YouTube or Facebook, put them in the comments. But without further ado, Chris, the show is yours. Go ahead.
Well, awesome, man. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm
Yes.
excited to share some more about creating a business plan. Obviously, it's very important for realtors, but also lenders. And we have the same clientele, so a lot of the strategies are the same. And I think a lot of times it might get a little bit overcomplicated when people think about their business plan for the year. But I just wanted to share kind of a simple, numbers-driven, process-oriented sort of business plan and kind of walk through it. Answer any questions, but also figure out some tactics and share some tactics of how you can get more referrals from your past clients, your personal sphere, and things like that. So, going to kind of dig into some of those items here. So, I'm going to share my screen, or actually, Adam, if you want to share, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
So, if we think about why is it important to have a business plan? A few reasons. Like it's crucial to your long-term and to your short-term goals. Kind of creates a map and a clear path to success for us. I think probably most importantly, it's going to hold everybody accountable, holds yourself accountable to your goals. If you have a revenue goal, if you have a unit goal, what are those goals? And that's going to kind of hold yourself accountable. And you also have the ability to learn and grow from your past mistakes. Obviously, no one's perfect, but we want to learn from any mistakes that we had in the past. So those are all important things to track your progress, track your goals, what you're trying to accomplish throughout the years. And if you are a newer realtor, newer lender, it is very important to kind of track throughout the way, so you can learn from those past mistakes or past learnings. So like I said, this is a kind of numbers-driven, not complicated approach to the business plan. So my goal for this meeting is to kind of go over a simple plan, like I said, that's number-driven, but also share some tactics on how we can get referrals, how can we get more people to talk to. Because, they say this is a contact sport, which, real estate, whether you're a realtor or a lender. So the most contacts you can have, ultimately you're going to be better off in the end. So,
Is that a
that's how,
football pun, Chris? If we just had the Super Bowl,
kind of, it could be, for sure it is, but from experience, it is definitely a contact sport.
it
So,
is. Yeah.
the most contacts you can make in a week, the better you're going to be off. So I want to kind of start off here with a simple business plan. So I put this together, just based off kind of units and setting that goal. So there's a lot of different ways that we can plan for the year, whether you have a overall revenue goal, maybe you have a unit goal, whatever the case might be. But I want to just kind of walk through my thinking and how I did it, and you can kind of tailor it to however you want to set it up. Like I said, whether it's a revenue goal or a unit goal. So I tailored this around units. So basically, closing 20 deals a year. And how do we get there? How can we back into that number? And what is that equivalent to from an overall revenue perspective as a realtor?
So units, Chris, when you say units, you're talking about how many houses do you want to sell this year? Is that right?
Yes, that is
Okay.
correct. These are
Yeah.
closed transactions.
Is that what most, in your experience, does most realtors say with you? Do they say, yeah, I would like to sell 3 or 4 homes this year? Do they do that way, or do they say, I'd like to make an extra $30,000 this year? Which is more common, do you think?
I mean, honestly, most of them just say, "Hey, I want to do more than last year," to be honest. Like that's kind of the
Okay.
most common, or "Hey, I want to double my business," or "I want to grow by 50%." Um,
Okay.
it's really like a personal thing. So I don't know if they say more towards revenue or more towards units. It's more, most of the times it's just, "Hey, I want to do more than last year," to be honest.
Got it.
But I
Okay.
think when you put numbers to it, it really helps, again, hold yourself accountable and figure out, hey, what do I need to do this month, this week, today to kind of get towards the end goal?
Hmm.
So at least if I break down the numbers, then each person can kind of figure it out for themselves. Like, hey, this is kind of what I want to set for myself. So
Got it.
if we look at this plan, again, this is based around units. So I'm going to walk through how I got to this and, how you can kind of deviate and change based on your business and whatever the case might be. So there's different measurables we want to look at and different sources of your referrals and, different conversion rates. So I would say on the lending side and most common from a realtor, there's going to be two sources of referrals, types of leads that you get. That's going to be referral based business, past clients, personal sphere, stuff like that. And then there's going to be ad leads, Zillow.com, Realtor.com, things like that. Each of these sources of your leads are going to have different conversion rates. So, what does conversion rate mean? That means that for every lead I get from this different referral source, I'm going to close, the transaction is going to close based on a certain percentage. So, my data, our data here at NFM Lending, based on all of our closings over years and years of doing this, is that typically, and areas change a little bit, depending on where you are, but referral based business, you're going to convert between 20 to 25% of those leads, meaning that in this case, every 4 leads that I get that are referral based from past client, friend, personal sphere, whatever, you're going to close at least one of those.
In a calendar year. Is
Yeah.
that what you're saying?
I
Okay.
mean, however you want to say it, but just basically out of every 4 leads you get from a referral source, you're going to close one of those on
Okay.
average. Now, ad leads are much lower converting. They're
Mhm.
much harder to convert. They cost a lot, so starting out, a lot of people, maybe they don't have a large sphere, maybe they don't have a lot of obviously past clients, things like that, and they kind of have to start with the ad leads. So it's a starting point, but the conversion rate on that is much lower. So we're looking at like 3%. So from getting a lead to actually closing it, you're looking at 3%. So you need about 30 leads to close one, I think would
Wow.
be that. Yeah.
Okay. So if you had 100 Realtor.com leads, you would only
You're gonna close
close
about three.
3. Wow.
Yes,
Okay.
that's what our data shows.
Okay.
So
Wow. All right.
obviously we want to get as many referred leads as possible from
Mhm.
past clients, personal sphere, colleagues that you might have worked with before, family, anybody in that sphere or anybody that you know that you can reach out to and get that. And we're going to walk through some tactics later to help figure out how we get those leads. But that's where we start. So we look at the conversion rates of those different types. Now, how do we get to 20 units in this case? So if our goal is 150,000, and I kind of broke this out. So I was saying for 20 units, we would have 15 closings from referred based business and 5 closings from ad leads. Kind of just throwing out some random numbers there, but
Okay.
that's kind of the mix that I had. So if you want to do all referred based business, you can do that. So you can kind of tweak it to however you want. But in
What's
this
that?
case,
That's less than 2 closings a month, right?
exactly,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah.
So I think that's
Okay.
very achievable.
That's a doable. Yeah, for a solid agent for sure.
Absolutely. So let's say that for your referred based business, if you want to get to 15 closings, you're going to need 25% conversion. So you need 60 leads throughout the course of 1 year from referred based business. So if you look at 60 leads divided by 12, that's 5 referred leads per month. Now, I feel like that's very achievable. Basically, reaching out to past clients, personal sphere, things like that. 5 leads a month. That's all you need to close at least one deal, or 15 closings throughout the year for referred based business. Now, on the other side, if you look at ad leads, with the conversion rate only being 3%, just to get to 5 closings, you need 166 leads, which would be 13, almost 14 leads per month just to get that amount of closings on ad leads. So obviously our goal here is to shoot for the referred business. It's much higher converting. It's a lot cheaper. Obviously, you don't have to pay for those leads on Zillow and Realtor.com. And I just wanted to kind of show the difference on, what you would need to do that. Now, how did I get to the revenue though? That's kind of the real question. So if we look at 20 closings, we multiply that by the average transaction, which I want to say is about 250,000 typically, and you take 3% overall of your commission. I'm not taking any splits out of there, but if you just take kind of the overall 3%, that gives us the $150,000 in revenue. Now, if you
Got it.
have to break out some splits or whatever, you have to kind of tweak it from there. I know every brokerage is a little bit different, so I just wanted
Mhm.
to give kind of the high level. So if you take 20 closings, 250K per transaction, and you take your 3% commission, that's how we get the $150,000 revenue.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, really, 250. Um, in some parts of Ohio, that's a pretty solid sale, but in Central Ohio, we're at 327 for an average sale. So you might only need to close 17 or 18 deals instead of 20, to get that number.
Yeah, and again, it's kind of an average. I do some business in Cleveland and Dayton, and some of those
Mhm.
areas are a little bit lower. So just kind of take a greater average across the state of Ohio.
Right.
Since I do some business in the other parts of the state. Um, so that's kind of a broad overview of what the conversion rate looks like, how we want to get there, and how many leads you would essentially need to do that. Um, so it's very simple, very numbers driven. But I think the biggest takeaway and the biggest value add to this conversation is going to be, how do we get those leads? What are some of the tactics that we can do to reach out to people we know, past clients, things like that, to actually get those leads? So that's what I'm really excited to share, and kind of walk through. But first, any questions about how I got to that, conversion rates, anything like that we talked about a little bit?
Not yet. I'm looking through I'm scouring on YouTube and stuff, but not yet. I think this next part it's the silver bullet. Everyone's looking for the silver bullet, Chris. They want to know how do they get all the leads, all the good leads. So, but
What's the
no, go
secret?
ahead.
What's the
Yep, yeah,
secret? All right.
yeah. They want the secret, Chris. I can tell you right now. That's what they want. So we
so
got some hellos and stuff, but no, you're good. Keep going.
so what I've
Keep
found,
going.
oh yeah, if you want to share this. What I've found is that most times it's really the simple tactics that get the most results. There's a great line that my manager says here, someone that I work with. 95% of the results just come from doing the action. And so if we have that action in place and it's a great process and we're consistently doing it, you're going to get results. And so I think when people think about getting referrals and driving new leads, sometimes it gets a little bit overcomplicated where we don't need to get that complicated. A lot of times you already have a great database that you already know. Even if you're a brand new realtor, maybe you have people that you used to work with, maybe you have a large personal sphere, things like that that you can really tap into. And that's some of the stuff that I want to kind of go over and share. So, again, these are some great tactics that we use on the lending side and that I also share with my realtor partners to help them with, really working their database and making that part of their process moving forward. So, the first thing that I want to share, our first kind of target market is past client slash past client referrals. So there's a few sources, a few lead generation tactics within this target market that we can use. So it's pretty self-explanatory. Past client slash past client referrals. That's anyone that you previously worked with. That would be the past client. And a past client referral would be anyone that you worked with referring someone to you. Let's say Adam, you closed a deal with John Smith 3 months ago, and then John Smith refers his buddy Bruce Allen or whatever, and Bruce calls you and says, "Hey, you worked with John. He said you were great, and we want to work with you." So how do we get as many of those leads as possible? The past client and the past client referrals.
Yeah, those
So
are the best ones for
so
sure.
so the first thing we want to do to really work that database is it's called 30, 60, 90-day calls. So that is our first strategy. And this is a strategy where it's self-explanatory. So this is after you close a deal with a client. This is 30 days after close, 60 days after close, and 90 days after close. You're putting this on your calendar and it's time blocked that you're going to call every single customer that you close a transaction with on those time frames. So 30 days after, 60 days after, and 90 days after. The goal here is that you want to get one referral over the next 12 months from each client that you work with, at least one. That's your main thing. So this is what you do. 30 days after closing, you call the customer, you go over Ford. So if you're not familiar what Ford is, it's family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. So it's really just, hey, how are you? How's the family? How's the new job? What have you been doing? I know you like to fish. What's been going on? So you're really going over Ford to, you know, begin the small talk and just catch up with them. Is there anything that I can do for you right now? If so, please let me know. Can I ask a favor of you? Over the next 12 months, can you refer me one person that is looking to buy, sell, refinance, anything like that? Great. Yeah, I would love to. So if it's a great transaction and they like you, obviously they're going to say yes. What you're trying to do here with these calls is program the customer so that every time they speak with a friend that's looking to buy or sell a house, they think of you like, "Oh, Adam is my realtor. I'm gonna refer this person to Adam because we had a great transaction and he did an awesome job." So that's 30 days. That's the first call that you make. And every
Okay.
single transaction, you're calling 30 days after.
Can I
And
ask a question, Chris?
yeah.
So, would you recommend not asking for a referral until 30 days after close? Does that make sense? So, if you're sitting, you're not at the closing table saying, "Oh, hey, by the way, refer friends and family," so you're saying just keep it focused on them, their business, but a month after they get settled in their house, that's when you're going to ask for the favor.
So that's actually another tactic that we're going to get to. We just haven't got
Okay.
there yet.
I'm ahead of myself, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's called a current client referral. So we haven't got to
Got it.
that one yet. So we're still on past client referral. So this is just the first step of the past client referral. So that's the
Got
first step is the 30 day. Then 30 days later, again, part of our process, we're going to do the 60-day call. So, hey, how's the house? How are you settling in? Again, with Ford, how's the family? How's the job? Anything going on with, whatever you like to do for fun? Have you gone fishing lately? Whatever. Is there anything else that I can do for you right now? Any questions about the payment? Any questions about the HOA? Anything? Uh,
Mhm.
if they say no, great. Again, is there one favor you can do for me? Can you refer me one person in the next 12 months? So again, kind of programming the customer to think of you, keep you top of mind when they're talking with someone about buying or selling a house. So then that goes into the 90-day call. So again, same exact thing. We're just doing it 30 days later. So it's the same exact process. Can I count on you to refer me one client over the next 12 months? So again, all it's doing is programming the client, because anytime they buy a house, it's kind of like when you buy a new car. You see the same car. If you buy a Honda, you see a bunch of new Hondas, and you're like, "Holy crap! Like, I see all these Hondas." So when you buy a house, it's kind of the same thing. You start hearing conversations about people wanting to buy and sell and stuff like that. And when they're talking with their friends and their family and their colleagues, they're going to be programmed to be like, "Oh my God, Adam was phenomenal. Let me get you in contact." So that's the 30, 60, 90-day calls. It is very efficient and it's free to do. All you have to do is time block this in your calendar. I do this every Thursday. So every Thursday, I'll look back on all my previous transactions over 30, 60, 90 days, and anyone falls under that category will get a call from me, and I'll ask for the referral, ask for the favor, and see how things have been going for them. So any questions with that? Like, does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, I think so. So just so I'm clear, so you basically have the same script for 30, 60, 90. It's just,
Exactly.
hey, how you been? Like, how's everything going? And then, a month later, just check back in, and then 90 days in. Okay. So it's
Exactly.
basically the same check-in, and
Same
then just say, hey,
check-in.
by the way, just let me know if there's
Yes.
anyone out there that's thinking about buying or selling. Okay. Well,
Yes.
what do we do after the 100 or after the 90 days? What do we do now?
So
Is
that's
that
going to
what
be
we're going to segue into, Chris?
the next tactic.
All right, let's do it.
So next one that we have here, this is called A to Z. So this is basically keeping in contact with your Rolodex. So let's say, 6 months have gone by, you haven't talked to anyone. The A to Z program ensures that you talk to every single person. Let's say you have a top 100 client list that you always want to stay in contact with in one way or another. Um, the A to Z is a really simple program. There's 26 letters in the alphabet. There's 52 weeks in the year. So week one, you start with the letter A. You call everyone on your list that starts with the letter A. Adam Ashba, boom, calling you week one. Hey,
Oh,
hey, how have you been doing? Um, you know, this is really just a touch base. You're not really asking for leads right here. You're really just catching up, see how you're doing. You don't want to be hitting them up for leads all the time. This is really just, hey, how are you doing? Kind of afford. How's the family? How's the job? Anything, you doing anything new for fun? I know the kids like to do this, that, and the other. This really just keeps you top of mind. It's a quick conversation, and I think it's a little bit more powerful than sending a little mailer that they get in the mail. You actually get to talk to them, and you're guaranteeing that you speak with them at least
yeah.
twice a year. You know what I mean? So again, this is part of your time
Hmm.
block, your weekly time block on your calendar. So I do this every Friday. So each week is a new letter in the alphabet. So, whatever this week is, I'm going to call all those people on my list. Hey, how's it going? Just wanted to see how things have been going for you. Anything new with the family, stuff like that. Nothing crazy, but again, it's just the process. Um, you know, they like talking with you and you reaching out and thinking of them. And that's really the main thing, is just making it part of your process. And you'll be amazed at how many new referrals you'll get just from staying top of mind and, continuing to talk with them.
Now, maybe I missed this, Chris. When do you start? So if I close Adam Ashba, right? He's a today. I'm going to do the 30, 60, 90, and then when do I put him in the A to Z process? When do I fall into that process? After the 90 days? Is that what you're
Yeah,
saying?
yeah, because you don't want to keep calling them within, the same 3-month period after they close. So it's kind of up to your discretion at that point, whether it's 3 months after that or 6 months after.
Okay.
But essentially, you'll just put them on your list, and then as you start doing the A to Z calls, just as long as it's part of your process, and there might be a little bit of overlap there between clients, and maybe giving them an additional call. But again, it's just part of the process and making sure that you're blocking it on your calendar.
Got it.
So that is kind of our past client referrals and some of those strategies to help drive some leads there. I would say the next one is your sphere. And so, depending on who you are and how many people you know, some people have a very large sphere. Some people don't have that a big of a sphere, and that's okay. The sphere is pretty simple. You're just going to reach out, and if you're a new lender, a new realtor, maybe these people in your sphere don't even know that you are a realtor or a lender. Maybe they haven't talked to you in a while. And so for this, it's really just a good opportunity to reach back out to everyone in your sphere and go through that forward that we talked about. So family, occupation, recreation, and dreams, and just kind of walking through that, touching base, whether you have 10 people in your sphere or 100 people that you want to kind of reach out to. This is a great opportunity to kind of reintroduce yourself, whether it's a very close friend or a contact from college or high school. Say, hey, wanted to reach out. We haven't caught up in a long time, but I'm also a realtor, and just wanted to reach out, see if there's anything down the road that I can help you with. Just keep me in mind. Kind of one of those deals, but a great strategy, because obviously if it's a friend or a previous friend, there's a great amount of trust there that they would have in working with you. So again, just making it part of your routine and time blocking it into your calendar. Any questions on that?
No, I guess one question I know the answer, and this is for some of our realtors, so I can say, "Ha, I told you so." How do you keep all this organized? Like,
Well,
how
it's
you just think about it and park it in the back of your brain, say, "Oh, I haven't called my uncle's brother's sister in the last 60 days." How do you keep it organized?
So again, it's part of time blocking everything into your calendar and holding yourself accountable. So one of the first things that we mentioned and why we want a business plan and why we want to do all of this stuff is to hold yourself accountable.
Mhm.
So when I time block everything on my calendar and I see, PCR and 30, 60, 90 and all this stuff pop up, I know that at some point during that day, I have to make those calls. And that's
Okay.
why it's so critical that you have to put this on your calendar, because if you don't do it, if you don't have it on your calendar, you're going to forget about it. You're going to make an excuse to not make a call, because it's so easy to not make the call instead of just making the calls. And so that's why you have to hold yourself accountable. You have to put it on your calendar and just do it. You know, you just have to make the action. And if you want to be successful as a lender, as a realtor, whatever it is, again, it's a contact sport. So the most contacts you make, the more you're going to succeed.
Yeah. I agree 100%. I think one of the biggest mistakes that agents make is they don't treat it like a job. They just kind of like, well, when I have some time, I'll do it. Now, I guess two questions. Um, is what time of the day should you contact these people? And then two is, well, I guess three. Hold on, give me three, Chris. Give me three.
All right, I'm gonna have to write
One,
these down.
what time of the day? Get ready, write them
All right,
down. What
time of the
time of
day.
the day? Two is, do you leave a message? Because I get a ton of spam calls, and if it's not your sphere or maybe a past client, maybe they have your number, maybe they don't. And then I guess the third thing is what about texting? Everyone loves texting now, including me. That's how we communicate at our brokerage 99% of the time, it seems. But what about the thoughts on those?
Yeah. So the first one, the time of day. Um, I don't really buy into like, hey, I need to call realtors or I need to call past clients at certain parts of the day. I call any part of the day, to be honest. Um, so I don't have a great answer for you, but I just think any part of the day is fine. Obviously, people are working and maybe they don't have a chance to pick up your call, but just leave a message. And to the point about texting, I think that's totally fine because during the transaction, you're obviously texting a lot with them as well, and maybe they're used to that sort of communication.
Right.
It would be nice to chat with them and just kind of catch up through a phone call. It's not like we're going to be talking with them for 20 minutes, most likely. So if we can say, hey, let's have a quick 2 minute, 5 minute phone call. I don't think that's a big deal. And I'm sure they'd be glad to hear from you if they haven't talked to you in a while. So, number one, the time of day, I don't think that's a big deal. Just call whenever. And if they want to call you back, if you don't get a hold of them, that's great. If not, no big deal. At least they know that you're thinking about them. Um, Leaving a message, that's totally fine. And then texting, I don't see a problem with that. Although I personally like to talk to people if
Hmm.
possible. Um, so that's kind of my thoughts on those.
We do have a question coming in. If from Daryl, and he says, doing the 30, 60, 90, um, if you get some pushback from them, yeah, it's just awkward. You can tell they're just getting annoyed. He asked, do you take it out of the rotation? Do you just say, yeah, I'm not going to contact them ever again? Or maybe I'll just call them twice a year. How do you feel on that, Chris?
Yeah, I mean that's a personal call. If you feel like they are getting annoyed, I don't know, maybe we're not phrasing it correctly, or yeah, it's tough to say without having an exact example. But I've never got any pushback, to be honest, because they're very excited about the process, how it went. They love the house. They loved working with you, and so pretty much every time they're going to be ecstatic to refer you to any of their friends, family, stuff like that. But if you are getting that feeling like they're getting annoyed, then yeah, maybe skip a month and, just throw them on the A to Z and call them back in 3 months or 6 months when that process starts. So, it's up to your discretion at that point. Like you don't have to do it, but I would still kind of go through the process and just kind of feel it out and, see how they react to it.
Well, I think one thing too, it just depends on your approach. If you're doing the Ford approach, like, hey, how's it been? What's going on? Hey, I know you guys went to Myrtle Beach last week or
Hmm.
3 weeks ago. How did it go? Did you guys go to that putt putt golf course? Like, I don't think anyone would be like, ugh, unless the whole transaction was bad.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, that could be a different. But if it's a good one, I don't know why they wouldn't. But if it was a bad transaction, then maybe they don't ever want to see you again. But I'm
Yeah.
guessing probably no. Yeah,
And in that case, you're probably not going to ask for a referral anyway if it was a total
right.
disaster. And then
Yeah,
you're like,
that's
well,
true.
maybe I'll send
That's
them the
true.
Christmas mailer or something like that.
Yeah,
And
they get a Christmas card as a.
yeah, and I
Yeah,
think
I see what you're saying.
they know the deal, and they like the great service that you provided, and
Hmm.
I think it's a fantastic idea just to go through the process and ask them every time. It's not like you're asking them for money or anything like that. It's just, hey, if you know anyone looking to buy or sell, throw my name out there, and would love to help out any friends or family. Something very basic like that.
Yeah,
Um,
they're
you know,
they're your best advocate for sure. I mean, yeah, I mean you need to, really put them on a pedestal.
Absolutely.
Yep. Hmm.
Any other questions?
I'm looking. I don't think to comment. There's some hellos. Nope. Go ahead, Chris.
Okay, cool.
Hmm.
So
Thank you.
let's walk through another strategy, and this is what you were kind of alluding to before. Like, hey, what do I do during the process? Do I need to wait 30 days to ask for a referral? Absolutely not. And so this would be called a CCR, or current client referral. So this is really important, and realtors and lenders alike should always be asking for current client referrals. So what we need to do up front is we need to set expectations for the CCR. And something that I do that's part of my process is when I'm in contract with some folks, every Tuesday, that is my status update day. So anyone that's working with me, whether you're the buyer, the buyer's agent, or the listing agent, you can always expect to receive a call from me. But also during those calls, when I'm calling the buyer, I set the expectations for the current client referral. So on the first Tuesday status update day, I'll say, hey, I'm going to be calling every Tuesday, giving you a quick update, letting you know where we are. Um, and then I say, hey, do you have any questions for me right now? No? Okay. During this process, if you know anyone looking to buy, sell, or refinance, let me know. I would love to assist them as well. So again, you're kind of programming them just like the PCRs to say, hey, if you know anyone during this process looking to buy, refinance, sell, whatever the case might be, let me know. Would love to help them out. Do you know anyone right now that I should reach out to? And they say yes or no. And, great, no big deal. So again, every Tuesday when I call them with a status update, I'm going to go through where we are in the process. We ordered the appraisal, we're in processing, we're in underwriting, whatever the case might be. Do you have any questions for me? No? Great. Have you ran across anyone looking to buy or refinance since we spoke last week? Nope. Okay, great. No big deal. So then you kind of just move on. So you're just programming them. So by the time you do the CCR and then you get to the PCR, you've brought this up to them 6 or 7 times about, hey, if you know anyone, please refer me. So again, it's just ultra programming them to refer you in the future,
Hmm.
essentially.
Yeah, I always say, like, if you don't ask, then they won't think to give it to you. Like, just, and I know it sounds stupid, like, oh, well, everyone's going to give me a referral because I did a heck of a job for them. No, they don't. Because they don't think about it. They're not, it's not something top of mind. Like, you think they would tell people, yeah, it went great. He's wonderful. But you just have to say, hey, just a heads up. You got to remind them. You do. So that's great. Great
And,
info,
and
Chris.
and the way that I think about this too is if you think about reviews and receiving reviews, every good review that you've probably received, you probably had to ask for it. Like
Hmm.
people don't just go out of their way to leave great reviews most of the times, unless it's like a restaurant or something. But if it's for a service, if it's a salesman at a car dealership, things like that, or a lender or a realtor, most likely they're not going to just go to your Google page and leave you a great review. But if you ask them to leave a review of, candid feedback of how their experience was, they're going to leave you a great review. And, that's kind of the case with this as well. They might not think about referring you to one of their friends or a family member, but if you simply ask and say, hey, if you run across anybody that's looking to do this, please throw my name out there. I would love to assist. And they'll say, yeah, absolutely. I would love to do that. And so, again, it's just making it part of your process and holding yourself accountable to doing it every single time. That is like the most important thing. So we have the weekly calls and then the pre-closing call. So kind of the same deal. It's just, the call before closing. So, hey, this has been fantastic to work with you. I hope you've had a very excellent experience. It's been very smooth on our end. Before we wrap this thing up, I'll just like to ask one more time: is there anyone else that that is looking to buy, sell, refinance anytime soon? So again, kind of a broken record at that point, but again, you're just continuing to ask. So, very process oriented and just making it part of the weekly calls. Does that all kind of make sense?
Hmm. Yep, I'm with you so far.
Okay,
Oh, believe
awesome,
me, Chris, I'll butt in and ask the question.
awesome. So
Yeah.
those are the main tactics that I wanted to share that again are part of my process that have been very beneficial to get a lot of those organic lead sources and just continuing to get more sources moving forward. So the next page on the business plan, this really kind of goes over some personal like rocks that you want to have to accomplish your goals. So I just jotted down a couple that I think are very important that I could think of, but you as the broker owner and as a realtor, you might have some that maybe you would like to add or each individual realtor would add. And so a couple things that I think are very important. Number one, we have to have a way to track our leads and track who we're supposed to talk to.
Hmm.
So we need a great lead management system, a great CRM to track all this stuff. Because if you're using Excel, if you're using, a pen and paper, it's just not going to work. It's not efficient. and it sucks after a while, to be honest.
Hey, Chris, um, can you do me a favor and just say everything you just said, like 2 sentences before? You need a good what?
You need a good lead management system, some great software. Don't use
I
Excel.
know. And
Yeah.
that is the biggest struggle. And I'll be honest, I didn't do that in the first half of my career. I didn't at all. And for some reason, that's a struggle for agents, like organizing their CRM. And I don't know if it's like that instant gratification that like we just like, when those leads come in, we're gonna, we'll run that lead. And if they don't buy, then we just go off to the next person. I don't know, but I mean, it's you need a good CRM. And thank you, Chris, for reinforcing that. Because that is the difference between like an okay realtor to like a good realtor. If you really refine it, then you can be a great realtor.
If you
So
think
thank
about
you.
if you think about sales in general, I forget the exact stat, but it's like you only make a sale on the first opportunity like 10% of the time.
Mm,
Most times it takes like 4 to 5 follow-ups to actually get the sale. So whatever you consider the sale, maybe that's, hey, I took an application. Maybe that's, hey, I had a listing appointment. Maybe that's, hey, I sold them something. Whatever it is, like the follow-up is absolutely critical. And
mhm,
so you really need a good CRM to track, hey, how many times have I called this person? What did we talk about? When are they available to talk next week, or whatever the case might be? Or hey, they're not in the market for the next 4 to 6 months and they said to reach out in July, whatever that is. And so all of that stuff tracks all that stuff for you. So it does a few things. It makes it a lot more efficient, but also it takes a lot of brain power that it would normally take to remember all that stuff, and it just tracks it for you. So
mhm.
it frees up a lot of efficiency and you know space in your head that you don't have to think about, and you can focus on other things instead of tracking all of your leads and writing it down and stuff like that. So I think it's absolutely critical.
Yeah, and you can automate it. That's the thing that's great, with our CRM is that if someone says, "Oh yeah, I'm real busy," or what for whatever reason, and let me know in October, I go ahead and type up the text, schedule the text
Mm.
to go out October 13th at 4:22 p.m. And it's just done. And then in October 13th, 2023, I'll be in bed sleeping, or I don't know what I do at 4 a.m. Go fishing, probably, right, Chris? Go fishing. But then that text gets sent, and then I might get a text back that night saying, oh hey, thanks for reaching back out. Yeah, yeah, we got everything straightened out. That's great that you reached out to me surprisingly. And it's like, yeah, oh yeah, I was thinking about you for the last 8 months, and it's not true, but it's just a wonderful tool. It really is. It is what we always say, the game changer. So, but I'm glad you really
Abs-
touched on that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's very important, and you have to utilize it correctly too. So just whatever the system is, just make sure you're using it the right way so that it's doing its job and tracking everything correctly.
Hmm.
Um, And so the other point, and I kind of alluded to this a few times, but just time blocking everything. So if it's an important action that you determine is important, maybe someone doesn't want to do my tactics, and that's totally fine. But whatever you deem important to your business, you need to time block it so that you can hold yourself accountable to reach your goals. So for me, I time block all of these things. So my current client referrals, my past client referrals, my status updates on Tuesdays, my realtor calls on Mondays, pre-approval calls on Wednesdays. All of these things are time blocked. So
Hmm.
my calendar literally tells me exactly what I need to do. Even if I can't do it at that specific time, I know that later in the day I need to get it done, to kind of keep myself on track.
Hmm.
So again, whatever you deem important for your business and reaching your goals, I think you have to time block it, so that you can be the best at whatever you do.
Very good.
And so there's a lot of other things that people might think of, and maybe that you would think of, but I think these two items are really important, to at least kind of implement. Another important thing that I learned maybe a year ago, the speed to implementation is absolutely critical. So if you come across something that is going to help your business, maybe someone on this call learned one thing that they think would be valuable to them. The faster that you can implement that and make it part of your process moving forward is absolutely critical, and it's going to help you moving forward. So that's something that I took into account for my business, and just everything involved is anytime I learn an important nugget or something that's going to help me or my business, I implement it ASAP and just make sure that moving forward, I hold myself accountable to that. So I think that's also
Mhm.
important. So that, I mean, that's pretty much everything that I wanted to cover, to be honest. Everything else is, yeah, kind of self-explanatory, but I'd love to share, or, send this out. I'll send it to you, and I can share the database strategy with everybody as well. And,
Yeah,
like I
what
said,
would be the best way to get this? What kind of a file is it, Chris?
they're both PDFs. So the
They're
one is
PDF.
actually, yeah, the one is actually interactive. So you can type in your own business
Okay,
plan, um,
great. Okay,
which is
so
awesome.
if someone says, I know in our example they said, I like to sell 20 homes. That's great, and that's a good solid agent. But every agent's different.
Yeah,
Some agents say I really like to do three, so they can take that PDF that interactive, and then they can. Yeah,
absolutely.
that's
And
wonderful.
so everything can be typed in. So if you want to delete out all my stuff and put in your own stuff, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
Um, and it kind of walks you through how to come up with the numbers. And we talked about that a little bit. So if somebody wants to sell
Mhm.
5 houses, you can put in those numbers and figure out how many leads you would need per month, and so on and so forth.
I think
Yeah.
I love the data. That's something that like a lot of agents are more emotional and passionate. That's what makes us good people
Mhm.
persons. Is that a real word? I don't know if that's a real world. I don't real word. But like data is important. You got to know the data, statistics, housing market, all that kind of stuff. But I love it. I love how you broke it down. And that was something I didn't know. I didn't know 3% of internet type leads convert. I didn't understand that, and now it made sense. 25% of referrals convert because that should be a heck of a lot higher. But no, that's great. I love it. I love how you can do that. So if they put what's the best way if to get that information, Chris? Do you want to share your information now, and I can put it in the comments section, or would you like them just to make a comment and said, "Hey, Chris, send it to this email"? What would be best for you? Because that's great info.
Yeah, I mean, if people want to email me directly, that would be perfect, and then that way I could just reply and send everything to them. So should I type that in, or do you already have that?
Yeah, go ahead. Give me your email right now, and I'll put it in the banner.
Okay, so it's C McDaniel, no S,
Yep.
at nfmlending.com.
All right. Does that look
Bingo.
right, Chris?
Yep, that's
Perfect.
it.
All right. So yeah, just email Chris your information. He'll send that deck to you. I'll have a copy as well if anyone wants to DM me on Facebook or put comments below and all the platforms, the Facebook and YouTube platforms, and we'll get them to you. I think it's great info. Or you can, I guess, make one on your own if you wanted to. But C McDaniel at nfmlending.com. Email Chris directly, and he'll get you a deck page. So very good. So any last thoughts or any tips to help agents get more leads, Chris, before we get off? And I really appreciate it. You did a great job, man. I love it. Was good info.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. No, I really
Yeah.
appreciate it. This is awesome. So I think, really just sticking to the process. So, like I said, even if you don't use my processes and some of our tactics, whatever your process is, just make it that. It needs to be a process, and it needs to
Hmm.
be part of your daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly stuff.
Yeah.
Um, you know, so I know realtors, sometimes it takes a little bit of time to, get business, and lenders too. Like it takes time. And so, just make it part of the process. Don't give up, and just keep working at it, keep grinding. And it will pay off because, like I said, 95% of the results just come from the action, just doing it.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of the biggest takeaway, just making it part of the process.
Very good. So, all right. Chris McDaniel, thanks for everyone that jumped on. President, and I really